9. The heart is not wedded to the face. A talk by Darthree John, July the 12th, 1976. From God is not a gentleman, and I am that one. My spine tastes sour. My eyebrows are milky. My forehead is odorous, and my hairs are unacceptable to me. Having seen this about my own form, I have decided to reach out and exceed the limits of my proportions and save myself with philosophy that involves the navel and the heat of life. And light is my expression. I am a poet and dead. Other poets have to rhyme. I only have to die for you. It is a rare moment to be a poet. Poets always served the culture. Poets are musicians and painters. Painters used only the present objects. They left nothing behind. Poets and painters and musicians were all drunks. Everything they did was absent in the morning. They woke up surrounded by furs in the skins of dead creatures, with their lover who caressed them and surrounded them with flesh all night. And so the ritual was done and forgotten, and so was all of the artifice. The god realized adept exists in a state of perpetual samadhi or ego death, in which everything arising is made a sacrifice to infinity. The sacrifice of the living adept is not substitutionary, like that conventionally attributed to Jesus. On the contrary, through his perfect sacrifice, the spiritual master becomes the vehicle for quickening the realization of devotees by drawing them to their own perfect sacrifice in God. But today we go to the museum and we say, that's what they did. That's poetry and music. That's sculpture and that's painting. We've just found some technology down the line by which to record a moment before the sacrifice. And no sacrifices are recorded at all. The dead are rotted, and they are not art. They're all the dead, and they have become the objects of our ritual. And you are the dead, about to be. You are all waiting for it. You are all going to die. You will be eaten. You are all biding your time with this ritual of museumistic philosophy, and thinking and painting and drawing and musicking and lyricking. You will be involved in action and repetition and experience until one day, completely out of the blue, you will go to this stuffy sensation in the chest, and your mind will become unavailable to you, and your personality will become magnificently obsolete, and you will puke yourself out and become nothing. For a moment, you will fulfill the law with your bodies. But in the next moment, you will be stretched out with a little cord of light. It's the only thing that keeps this body alive, with 3 parts into the 3 sections of the heart. And you will stand up in the room and see your dead body and feel so relieved from it. And that will seem like the fulfillment of the whole gesture of your understanding. But then you will turn around and someone like your mother, your uncle, the Virgin Mary, Jesus Christ, or Gautama Buddha will be standing there saying, aha, it's all right. You have died now, but you're not your body. Now come with me, and we'll go into the other world. And you will believe it. Yet you should have been swept out centuries ago, lives before, or at least moments before your death. How unfortunate to have had to die to be relieved from your body. But actually, you have not been relieved from your body identification, only from the body itself. And in the next moment, having submitted to this argument, this preacher of your mind, you'll be swifted to some place with all kinds of smiling, white-shirted people whose entire business it is to make you feel as comfortable, as consoled and dead as you could possibly be. And then you'll be put to sleep and you will dream for endless years. It is not knowable how many years your sleep will last, because each so-called individual has a destiny of no size, but you will lie in that place and dream, Some of you will dream the most pleasant and ordinary daily kinds of things, and you will even step into the gross world, or you may step into the spiritual worlds, or you may fall below the earth into the most somnolent and stupid solidity and suffer the elements against your body, not as your body. You may do that for what seems to you to be centuries of time. Or you may be lifted out of the gross realm and pass into dreams of fluidity beyond light and resting in the curvatures, the outer aura of the rainbow of form, and imagine yourself to be spiritualized, God-realized, homely, in absoluteness. But at some point you will awaken again on this slab in the room with these other poor, dead, white-shirted people, and you will have a moment in which to look down again, as you did before you rested, and see the place of your future birth. It will only be a moment. In the next moment, you are wailing and puking again in a room on earth or some other place in total mystery, total forgetfulness of that place to which you arose in your past death, and begin again the same recycle of separation and experience, having learned nothing, to learn everything and fail at it again. And that will be where you will be as you are at this moment, and every single one of you has experienced the destiny that I just described to you. Every single one of you has been through that process again and again. That is reincarnation. I am certain of it. I am more than certain of it. I have seen you sleeping. I have seen the dreams. I am these dreams. I know it absolutely, beyond your belief. And that is why you are here. It is what you are while you are here. And you want to engage in an ordinary occupation based on your birth, to feel better, to be consoled, to be enlightened as an individual already born. But enlightenment has nothing whatsoever to do with that. Enlightenment is about the total and most absolute dissolution of this obsession, of this belief of birth. Before there is enlightenment, there must be the most perfect overcoming of belief in this birth, and therefore of all the implications beyond it. This is the process that I described to you. You want to take it up as an extension of your birth, but I oblige you to take it up as a matter of insight into your birth. How many take it up as a matter of insight is to be seen. There are very few. Most take it up as a matter of desire for consolation, as an extension of their birth, to be somehow healed or relieved or distracted from that adaptation to which they are truly committed, really committed. Now I am not born, and I am not the one who has been born. I am not a reincarnated individual. I am not an incarnated individual. I am not one who has a future. I am not one who is in the worlds. I am not one whose consciousness is either here or there. I have seen all of these things, and all of them exist in me, so I can describe them to you. But I am not always meditating on them, so they are really beside me, and I fundamentally know nothing about them except that I know what they are. And so the simple little drama that I play, however dramatic it appears to be, is simply a way of rehearsing this reorientation in you, so that you may realize no destiny and no experience, so that you can become free of this suffering of existence. Because all of these things upon which you meditate, all the things that may be reflected in you, all the things that may arise in your mind in this life or in another life, all these things that be known in meditation or in perception, in memory, recollection, or knowledge in the present, may be released from bondage to the self. And in the dissolution of this self, you may know in this moment that speed of light which is beyond performance, beyond knowledge, beyond acquisition. Godfrey John is not any such one that is like you, any such one that is repeated, that is knowledgeable, that is informed, and that is saved or relieved. Godfrey John is not any such person. Darfrey John is no person. At some point, you may begin to realize this. Darfrey John is like a movie on a screen. You don't suggest to yourself when you see a movie that there is consciousness in the screen. The play itself is the argument, and Darfrey John is not anything other than the play that he appears to be. There is no implication of an individual in him. There is no individual in Darfrey John, none. No person, no one who has been, who is, or will survive. This is only a reflection of you. How can I tell you this? How can you believe such a thing? How absurd. No, I am somebody, laughter. Let me put it that way for a while, laughter. I am somebody in a pink shirt, suit, laughter, with this series of hairs, this hat, this nose, eyes and ears, and a random collection of nose hairs, a mouth that presses upon itself, always speaking except when silent. The chin, protesting always, grows hair upon it in multiples, so that it is bearded and throated, pointing to its own chakra, wherein the life appears. All of this is surrounded by a sphere of headedness appearing to speak, and yet this sphere does not move. Does this skull gesture right or left? It speaks nothing, but within it this perch of flesh, nostrilled, eyed, nosed and mouthed, with ears not moving, except occasionally when I do it, and a pair of eyebrows, the forehead, wrinkling, appears to speak. But this sphere which surrounds it and contains it and makes a definition out of this person does not move. Has anyone witnessed it to move? There is no elongation, nothing oblique, nothing sideways, peripheral, perpendicular, horizontal. There is no gesture within this sphere that defines itself obliquely except this person, with nostrils, eyes, mouth and ears, eyebrows, forehead moving, a hair falling out occasionally, always growing more definitely. This appearance in the midst of this sphere defines itself always by change, but the sphere itself is unmoved. But this face is nothing, except that all character is registered within it. But you notice that all things of importance among humankind rise up to this face and are expressed, while all the movement and obsessions, all the vitality in life, all of the passion of things that make expression are somehow gestured in the flesh below the throat. This is so because all of this is breathed, but the face is not breathed. The face recognizes the breath and says, I am breathed and thought, and it defines itself. How often does the body define itself? It only gestures and makes itself known and believed, not defined. All belief appears in this sphere of facing that is featured and receives all perception except for feeling. The feeling then is deeply rooted in the form, below. Below the throat, and is without recognition, unknown and not knowing itself, always gesturing through the face and somehow pulsed upon the hands and feet, the navel hardly rising or falling except with breaths, which are totally meaningless as you know, except that I have asked you to breathe consciously, laughter. In that revolution of digestion that we call life, to which we were also deeply committed, out of this morsel mass of suffering, we produce our extremities, hands and legs, and out of it, suddenly rising up from it like the phoenix, there is this marvellous face, this sphere, this picture of divinity, somehow rounded out as soon as you are born. The rounded out expression within which appears ears, brows, eyes, and wrinkled forehead, these nostrils twitching, hairs perhaps growing down, and the mouth all the time speaking out of the illusion of the body. And all of this stress of vowels and symbols that is mind, that somehow obsesses the face, that is its hidden character, belongs to the body. And this chemistry of suffering is all that we know as mind. Well, this is the person, this is the archetype, the hero of ordinary life, fit to be president, fit to be your plumber also, laughter, fit to be your friend, your lover, your wife, your husband, your boss, your surrogate, your other, your table, your implement, your lunch. This same one is fit to be all things, and yet you identify it as me. You strut out with your extremities, occasionally identifying it with your face. The face is all that you are. The face is the totality, the symbol of all your recollection and summation of being. But this face is not tolerable to intuition. This face is invisible to men except in its line and feature and distortion of function. So only when the eye, eyebrow, forehead, ear, cheek, mouth, lip, throat, and neck change in the process of aging do men and women say, I know you. It is only by your changes that you are known, only by your changes that you are expressed. In truth, you are that sphere in which these changes manifest. You are not identified with that illusion below. You are extended below in sleep. It is the depth of your sleeping, and so in sleeping and in dreaming, you realize images of the body moving in environments and suffering relations, waking, dreaming, sleeping. But all of these are suffering, are the interval between birth and death. Then suddenly, in that poetry of death for which you have no preparation, all of that below the throat is ended and you are lifted out, still with face and only face, lifted out above the body to view it with a few casual and circumstantial friends who are suddenly consoling whom you could never love in life. You are surrounded by them to view this body without life, face, and you believe in that moment that you are not that. You are full of face, but you are not what is below the neck. Such is philosophy, not truth, not love. Philosophy only, the very thing with which you were agitated while born. The matter of liberation has nothing to do with birth or face. Those who do practice the way of truth while born apparently assume that position that precedes their face, their facing, precedes the brow, hair and forehead, wrinkled horizontally or vertically, precedes ears and nostrils, and the manifestation of cheeks, precedes lips, chin and beard as the knot in man or woman. The knot is the self-contraction, which is the activity that is the ego. Truthful enlightenment is the natural state which exists prior to the self-contraction. That is the being itself in which it rested in the heart while alive, and those who respond to the graceful communication of the unborn begin to animate the being from the heart without face. Having lost face, they act as do other men or women, but move through the extremity that is the world itself, not threatened, but free, unborn already, not seeking to die or to be transformed, but because these extremities remain, they animate them while free. The only way that they can do this is to be submitted in their being to the reason of consciousness, which is beyond mind, which is prior to this birth, which is prior to separation and personality, which is prior to the face. The heart, with a capital H, is not wedded to the face. The being is not subject to the birth. And so those who engage in the process of the heart, which is without face, are God realizing in their nature, in their action, in their destiny. And you see in them the face begin to move, to turn in directions that are not reasonable. And they enter into relations which are also unreasonable and in contradiction to the face, each moving in opposite cycles. The circle of the face and the circle of the body move in opposition to each other until their conjunction in the throat, which is the turning place of Amrita Nadi, the cycle of expression of divinity. Amrita Nadi, or the spirit current of the heart, is the intuitive form of reality. It is the relationship between the heart or the very self and the uncreated God light. It is also the intuitive structure of all manifest worlds and the human body. As it is intuited in the human body, it appears to ascend from the right side of the heart, along the front of the body, passing back through the throat and up along the line of the skull to the crown of the head. at this place, or all stillness between revelations or revolutions above or below, there is the zero or cancellation of knowledge, and all mindlessness becomes a form of being. This is sufficient for them, and they need not pass out of the body from the point of view of the face to behold this extremity after death. Even while alive, they are dissolved without a place, without time and space, without a world, without an earth, without a gross perception, without an unworthy and solid perception, without a subtle, without a worthy and earned and spiritual perception. They are already relieved and do not require helpers after death, do not require a place to sleep and to dream, upon which incarnation, reincarnation, or furtherance, or destiny rests. Such individuals are no longer individuals even while alive. They are without flesh, without the body altogether, without this energy, this movement less than light, without this heart of complications circled round with 12 figures of emotion, without the throat of life that descends and ascends from the heart, producing the complications of the mind, that is reflected in a series of symbols gestured between the brows, and a place far above the head that may not be figured in space. Such beings are not contained in this anatomy of suffering, this chemistry of body or of mind. They are relieved of that, and that is their destiny beyond perception, beyond knowledge, beyond inclusion or countenance. It may not be spoken, but it may be offered, and this suffered obligation of enlightenment is the offering of the God-man, who is beyond birth, while appearing in mortality, while appearing in the extremity of the body, with all things that hang below the throat, with all things that stand above the throat and above the head, with all attachments, with all accessories, with all expressions of illusion, with all knowledge, with every gesture of pleasure, with all fulfillment already in. Such a one appears in human time, gesturing with all of this expression, seeming to be perfected and enjoyed even by that divinity you objectify within your suffering. He makes the statement of liberation, which statement is the dissolution of face on your own part, within your own parts, that sinks below the face, that rises above the body, congeals within the heart, opens this throat and shatters this dimension, this sphere, this circle that surrounds your features and perceptions, and that contains all of your knowing and memory in a cycle of repetition, of ritual, the church of your own mind. Do you know what I am talking about? Devotee, no, but it was far out. Laughter. Dorothy John, with a bit of language which appears to fall from the face and somehow to be moulded with the light of the navel, to enjoy the shapes as discrete as the body, with fingers all, with functions within, feeling you and yet deeply rested within, surviving by its own process. This one describes the falling of perception, and that is the help of God, which is not objectified, which is not other, which is not surrounding this sphere of face, which is not surrounding this sphere of body, which is not surrounding this sphere of body and face, which is not surrounding at all, which is not. The help of God, then, does not come from without, neither does it come from within. It comes inexplicably between, without a gesture, but with appearance. This is the mystery of the God-man in all time. For you to consider and to forget, having forgotten it, this one appears again, not the same one with face and body below, but that one that is to be considered, which is your own being, which is the nature and condition of your heart. So be it.